I didn't click go live, that's why.
Well,
There you
that would
go.
explain why.
There's the reason. We figured it
I
out.
could have sworn it would be set to do that automatically.
There we go. It says live. I
Yep,
believe
you're
we are
good.
live.
We're good.
Let's hear it.
Oh, that's
Yep.
fascinating. Okay.
Places.
Like, I'm checking, like, it has to be something on Discord's end, I think, that's going on with, like, the whole microphone thing. Because
Yeah.
on the stream, you're perfectly fine. Weird.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an input routing thing? Oh, well.
It could be.
Actually, wait. If it's, like...
You know what, it should be fine. Greetings, I don't know how to pronounce your name, from Japan.
Anyway, introduce our town hall then.
Alright, so what we want to do here is that we want to change up how we want to approach the approach our collabs, because usually we've
Yeah.
done one for both Halloween and Christmas, but as it tends but usually what happens is that we would usually get Halloween out relatively on time, but Christmas would get delayed nearly all the time. And plus,
So
there's
here's
less turnout, or less participation for the Christmas side of things when it's right after our Halloween collab. You go ahead and take the
so
floor.
here's the so here's the deal. We've been doing the Halloween and Christmas collab, as Orta had been saying, every single year. And the problem with it is that thematically, there's only so much you can do for Christmas and Halloween all at once before people start suffering burnout. And we've noticed that the output and creative integrity of the Christmas and
Oh
Halloween have
no.
suffered because of how traditionally we just keep doing it every year. So, to break up the tedium, we want to not only switch it around between we're doing Christmas this year or we're doing Halloween this year, but we also want to do a mid year collab, either based on our anniversary like last time or based on another holiday or event. This was talked about in very old town halls previous to the death of Flash, where a lot of people were talking about doing something like a Valentine collab, or in the case of the anniversary, our anniversary. So, yeah, we want
Well,
to split up when we do Christmas and Halloween. So we can make room for two collabs a year, but switch up what type of collab we do based on what the community wants. So this town hall is going to be an important one for collaboration because it's up to the community who is going to vote on Halloween or Christmas, and we will be sticking to that for the even and odd years for whichever we decide to pick here. Do you have the poll, Ort?
oh,
While you make that, if I may just kind of slide in really quick, just to, like,
Hmm.
bring up the topic. If we're going to do...
let me go grab it.
I think that whichever month
I found it.
we... sorry. Whichever year we do Christmas, if we're gonna, like, stick with a Valentine's Day idea, should be the same exact year. My sort of, like, logic behind it is
Yes.
if we did that in alternating years, what would essentially happen is that we'd have the same problem just at a different location. Christmas and Valentine's Day is, like, even less time apart than Halloween and Christmas. So
Yeah.
if we're gonna do, like, Valentine's Day, just for instance, since that's the example you mentioned, keep it on the same year, which basically means that in that sort of rotation, it's not gonna have that 2-month time period.
So pretty much what he is saying is that we're going to have one collab to end off the year because we did the anniversary collab, and then the next year we decide what to do between the Valentine mention and our anniversary is two options we can pick from, but we can only pick one, so only two per year, like he said, yes. and keeping them on the same year. So after the Halloween or Christmas, based on this straw poll vote, we will figure out which collab we're going to end the year on. And then the next year, we'll refresh the pool with the either Halloween or Christmas, depending on which vote wins here today. And as well, also, yeah, we'll keep the poll open, won't we, Ort, for a while,
Uh,
and then see what the
yeah,
results are?
we'll
All
keep it
right.
open until what would be a good date? Maybe until
Let's
September,
see.
midway.
Yeah, I'd say September. The end of this month would be perfectly fine. And give it a
Yeah.
month for people to vote. If I may, I think the Halloween would be more versatile choice, since there's only so much you can do with a Christmas theme.
That's true.
Well, it is true, and like mentioned, if that resonates with anyone, go ahead and vote, because while there is so much you can do for Christmas, that's that is what it is. But
Perhaps we can, if I may,
w-
sorry for interrupting. Perhaps we can sort of expand the Christmas theme into more of like a winter theme type thing. Instead of explicitly targeting Christmas, we can still like put it in December, but just kind of expand the topic to
that
actually just winter things in general.
that is a good segue, because the collab this year is, since he didn't make it, he was going to announce it, but I will announce it in his stead. Guy the
Oh,
Metalhead
yeah,
is
that's right.
going to retire from hosting the collabs. And in the vein of this mention, Ort is going to be taking over for the collab host this year. So I, in turn, will be taking over his bi weekly prompts.
Uh,
But
Guy sent me a
yeah, go
thing
ahead.
here. Let me copy that and
Okay, go
send you
ahead.
through DMs. There it is. Those are his talking points. Figured you should see it.
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. Give me a moment and talk while I get it up. All right, I'm getting it up. Give me one moment. But yeah, let's see what he says here. Should I just post this outright, or does he want this only privately?
I think it should be alright to share. I was expecting him to be able
Okay.
to show. No wait, he said he'd make it by 12, but 2:30. Don't know why I said 12, but it should be fine to share it.
Okay, doke. Well, we can also wait for him. But yeah, as for who gets to run the collabs, so far the only ones to have run the collabs have been Spestique, Siege, Guy, Kesseltoastam, and Stevo. So we wanna make it a. There has never been a rule that only admins have to run them. Guy only just took it up after being asked by Siege if he could take over the Christmas one year, and then he just kept going. Anyone with a good reputation and a penchant for keeping deadlines, quality control, and a bit of creativity, and decent editing software, and a desire to put everyone's work on display can do it. So we want to expand we want to open the door for people to be able to host collabs. And not only that, but have the room to host collabs, much in the same way we used to host contests on the DeviantArt side of things. So we would want to open the door for other people to host collabs in the future. It doesn't have to be anniversary, could be holiday themed, anything like that. If you want to organize it, hey, it's a lot more open now with the updates we've got to the server than it ever has been. So, yeah, let's see. As for some of his other notes, we will help unanimously agree who can do a collab, and contest and all of that if they were to go for it. So, what makes a good category for the main requirements of running a collab? The ability to make and commit to deadlines, have video editing software and the ability to use it, has creativity and make a collab look appealing, has the ability to practice quality control for sketches that are submitted, and have enthusiasm to put everyone's work out there and look as good as possible. While those are not written in stone requirements, generally these are what's needed to make a director editor role work. And the director has full creative control when making collabs, but they need to understand their main goal is to compile all the sketches to make it visually appealing to the entire audience. And I will add, it is perfectly okay to ask the admins for quality control as well, so you can make sure you are putting something good in your collab in the future if you decide to do one. And Guy's typical quality control and rejection to certain rules apply from past collabs. So, a good rule of thumb is to look at the requirements and the announcement on the channel here, and you should be able to find it.
I
And he
see.
gave his mantra, and his mantra was collabs should not live and die by one person, but the whole group. If collabs are going to happen, someone needs to step up and run them. So yeah, that is a good point to make. Now, while Guy said he has no plans to actually call it quits, but when the time comes, someone will have to take over should the group wish to continue doing these because he's got stuff coming up. And so he will, like Ort said, he will come out of retirement, but as of right now, he's got stuff going on. And I'll let him explain himself when he's here so you can get it straight from the horse's mouth. But yeah, the collaborations and everything will still continue on. And we want to make sure that the group has a lot more room to run them in the future. So, with that, just go ahead and vote on the holiday runner up. And keep in mind that we probably won't have running sketches anymore. We feel like the collabs having a big central theme, like in the past, where there was a runner to tie everything together, like in our 10-year anniversary collab, we are probably not going to do running sketches anymore. We would like to just feature the community and potentially allow even hosts to submit their own sketches. Though runners are still available if people want to do them, more often than not, I do believe just putting a collab together should be enough. So don't feel pressured into making the big sketch that ties everything together, like in our anniversary collab. We did it as one last tradition to send us off. Go ahead, Ort.
Uh, let's see. I guess I wanted to say that main runners wouldn't be totally totally eradicated. Just that I figured it might be easier this time to have just a beginning and end.
Yeah, honestly, the
It's
structure
entirely
is
up
not a hard
to
requirement.
it's entirely up
Yeah.
to whoever's hosting the collab to decide if they want one or not.
Ye-
If they want to
Yeah,
do one of
and
those
that's
runners.
and if not, that's perfectly acceptable too, because honest to goodness, we want to make collabs a lot easier and more accessible for anyone to be able to host in the future. So if it's a little too much work, and especially in the event that something comes up and you have to cancel the collab, we want to make sure that the sketches that were submitted still have room to work. And of course, to give the ability for people to pick up the pieces if you have to drop a collab. So yeah, we wanna we wanna open the door for that, and here we are doing that in addition to all of the upgradings we are going to do with the group. Let's see, what else? Go ahead, Ort.
Um, I don't have a whole lot.
Let's
See that.
see. Based on what's said. Yeah. So, a general announcement regarding the lack of minutes for the last town hall. We have decided that it would be a little more prudent to put the minutes of the town hall as timestamps in the live stream chats going forward, so that when we discuss things by topic, like when we're introduced the topic for the contest, we are going to also do timestamps and use the chapter feature on YouTube to be able to distinguish when certain topics are, so that the community can have a more proactive way to keep up with the town halls and the general announcements that we make. So we will be transitioning that to YouTube to get rid of the DeviantArt dependence that we used to do with the journals. The minutes used to be a formality as well, but now everything should be in a nice, neat place.
Say, I'm going to share the straw poll itself with our live chat as well.
All right. Go
Figured
ahead.
it'd be fair.
Yeah.
And posted.
Feel free to post the link in the chat as well. Hello.
You
I
might
guess
also
I'll
want to put
redo.
in the link in the description for people who are viewing the VOD.
Perfectly fine.
You've got a good
It'll
idea.
probably be there with the timestamp, yeah. Let's see. All right.
Focus on.
Looks good. So yeah, shall we move on to the next topic? Because it's
Yes,
something I can talk about.
I don't see much else to really focus on, so go ahead.
So, as for our next topic, while we didn't really make a formal announcement of topics for the town hall, we did bring this up because this is going to be a sort of short town hall to get a few of the mini announcements we have out of the way. For large in part, this town hall was something Guy wanted us to do, so we could announce the contest thing. But in addition to that, I would like to talk about Phase 2 a little bit more. Now that the collab's done and we got all we needed to out of the way for that, I feel it's time to move onwards with continuing the Phase 2 part of the stuff, and this will include our updated basic guidelines for submissions, a full formal guide for how to use Pixiv and upload to it, and just in general try and tidy things up for the submissions we get not only here but just posted in general by people, because we want to make it a point of contention that you don't have to go on Pixiv to submit your content. You can just straight up use the creation contributions here to submit it here. And I will bring this up with the admin team a little bit later on if we want to do any changings to the Creative Contribution Center to make it sort of parallel the Pixiv, but more often than not, I think it'll be fine. One thing I did want to announce is that we will be trying to bring back for Phase 2 the featured channel for the Pixiv contributions. And what that will be is that will be the community's chance to vote on submitted Pixiv content or general posted group content to get featured in its own channel at the top of the Pixiv content. So that will be something we will be working on, and with the featured channel coming to the Discord, we will have officially moved on fully from the DeviantArt, and pretty much everything it had will be here now. In addition to the basic rules and guidelines, just to make everything tidied up. Now, the big question I did want to ask is, what
Hmm. Yeah.
do you guys think we should do for the tutorials? Should we do video guidelines, something that I consider ideal, or do you guys think we should do what we already did for the past and just do it in a layout format?
I think including the a video format can, yeah, it can bring in more people.
Yeah,
What I was thinking with that is that video format actually is just a bit better for actually demonstrating it in real time.
yeah,
That's my biggest like boon for the video format.
While it would be a lot more work, I think having both options are ideal. And indeed, Draco, that was what I was going to say. I was going to say that in addition to the videos which explain certain topics, we will also have the text guideline, like in the past with the visual examples. Some of the comics that Spez made back in the day, such as text formatting and all the speech bubble forming and everything like that for comic making will be there. But the video formatting will extend to a lot of things, including video creation, methodology, and I also want to include in the basic guidelines the process of creating the idealized standard for custom props. For a very long time, I'd say, custom props hasn't really had a standardized method of being put together. And I think that having a general tutorial on how to use something like Inkscape for vector graphics, etc., would be really good. So this part of the town hall is kind of where I ask for help regarding that, because
Uh,
here's the thing,
yeah. Mm.
I do not know how to use Inkscape. And I think the only one I know who does off the top of my head is Farrell Lagono. But I do know that there are probably some people here that know how to do it as well. And the idea is just kind of to bring a more formal custom prop set together. And with that, the town hall I talked about this before in, we could probably include a GitHub repository regarding specific categories for custom props in the future. And I think this would be good based on our new custom prop standards.
It's just a minute, like GitHub is just a place that we're hosting all that at the end of the day. At the same time,
Hmm.
the current Pixiv system may be sufficient for that just because the things that we're redirecting to general and other props already contain like the download links anyway. But I do agree that a centralized location for that would actually be a good thing.
which is good because with the Pixiv system, you can always have the individual place to go to, support the creators, and also find them by artist is the big thing. Whereas something like a GitHub repository full of assets would be sorted by category. So you could basically go to the GitHub and look for, say, the arms you wanted or a custom prop based on a certain property or video game, just kind of bring things together. But the big thing I want to say for the GitHub repo is going to be a centralized focus on using the vector graphic method because the vector graphics are really important for one key purpose. You can trace over a PNG with it, meaning that ideally, anyway, anybody who is making a custom prop in the future based on the PNG assets that exist can just trace over it with vector graphics and use the method that RSG Maker put forth for being able to import that into create.xswift.
I will say that there is an asterisk attached to the trace over vector graphics thing because I've been using Inkscape a fair bit. It's
Yeah.
what it essentially does is it traces over the dark colors and treats it as like a fill layer rather than a stroke layer. And it does
Mhm.
not actually fill in with any colors. You have to still fill in the colors yourself. And yes, bitmap to path is the technical name for this.
Yeah, so aside from the outlining, there's still going to be some manual labor involved in getting the colors exactly right. That I do know.
Correct.
But thankfully, there are a lot of methods Inkscape have that make this a little easier. And there are other programs that can do this too. I believe Clip Studio Paint, even though it's paid for, can do this also. But of course, that all depends on who you're asking, because typically the people who use Clip Studio are the type of people that's got an expensive setup with a drawing tablet and all that. Now, I want to make it accessible for anybody, is my goal. So I'm thinking that can be something we add on to later, but I do want to put forward a standardized method for creating custom props in the future because with the current way custom props are being handled, I don't think it's totally ideal because like a lot of the best props that exist, they all have different sizes and scales that exist when they are downloaded, whereas some of the more less useful props, let's just say, come with only one default 100 times zoom. And as you can probably tell, that does not work for close-ups. So,
That used to be a thing in like the early 2010s, though, right?
essentially, yeah, basically bringing full standardized guidelines to everything, including video making and custom props. Yeah, as Draco said, vector graphics are infinitely scalable without artifacting. I believe Alan Blake, I don't remember his name. He does stick figure animation, but he
Alan
has this.
Becker.
Alan Becker?
Yeah.
Ah, oh, you're right. Excuse me. Alan Becker, he has a tutorial on vector graphics and puts a pretty good demonstration of how big a deal vector graphics are. And because we are using Wolfus, which is based in Flash, it supports that kind of thing, which is really good. Ideally, we want to probably think about using RSG Maker's method of importing .svg files because those are infinitely scalable regardless of the prop. But I do want the PNG method to be available to people, especially when exporting from vector graphics, because the infinite scalable part can allow you to just scale to what you need. Using SWF format props also has its own set of issues due to interaction quirks. Yeah, even though the methods are out there, bringing it all together is going to be a little more difficult. And more
True.
importantly,
Yeah.
salvaging it is going to be a little more difficult because not too long ago, DeviantArt had a glitch where all the descriptions on every upload just disappeared. They fixed it, but it's not exactly it's not exactly going to stay alive forever, especially since a lot of its money has jumped ship like a lot of people who just moved on to other websites like us. So, yeah, good thing we got off of DeviantArt before that ship sank. I remember back in the day having to deal with the descriptions just going away like that would have been a mess. So it's good we
Why?
have this now.
So this. Oh wait, that was a temporary bug.
Yeah, that like I said, they fixed it. But
Still, I
if they're
was
gonna introduce bugs like that, it's not gonna be a reliable platform.
still I wasn't sure. Many of us weren't sure how long it would have lasted, so we figured if depending on we're not gonna wait. We're just gonna move now. That was certainly
Yep,
my train of thought, and that's why I'd said goodbye, goodbye, DeviantArt. I'll see you all. I'll see you all in therapy.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everyone. As a
Anyway,
note, for
Draco.
those that still want to provide PNG versions of props, I made an extension for Inkscape that allows you to bulk export PNG versions of your props. Oh, could I have that? I know that sort of goes against the desire to move to SVGs, but you never know when you'd want a PNG for something
And this is
interesting.
important because when uploading a custom prop to, say, Pixiv, or just on DeviantArt being linked to on Pixiv, like a lot of people are doing, people need the PNG format for a lot of those standalone props to be uploaded. So it is perfectly acceptable to do that. And in fact, Draco, it is going to be our foundation.
Instead of
Note that this is
vice
going
versa.
from SVG to P. Yeah, I know. When you're exporting a PNG at different scales. So in that vein, yeah, the PNG is still going to be the standard, but we want the rescale aspect of PNGs to be the gold standard moving forward. And of course, giving people an understanding of how to actually properly scale a prop to a proper size, because I do know there was somebody in the past that knew how to do vector graphics, but imagine for a second they were exporting everything at a scale that was slightly off to the 100 scale, so it's always either too big or too small. And we want to avoid that kind of thing,
Oh,
so having a tutorial is really going to be important.
I see them.
So yeah, just go ahead.
uh, but yeah, having putting up some sort of standard can prevent well, a lot of the really shaky line art stuff from populating the feed, hopefully.
Yeah, and an overabundance of a specific sets of props as well, because as cool as
Although,
some props are, it kind of sucks that, there hasn't been any quality control on those props, because I know a lot of people that would probably say, like, this specific prop at a higher scale. So I want to open the door for people to be able to trace props and just make an upgraded version of props as long as they give proper credit. for that GitHub repo, of course.
Though it's not going to stop people from utilizing the old method. Some are just kind of stubborn that way.
And as Draco say, attribution is tantamount. Yeah, very much so. Even when crediting the property of
Oh,
whatever you're using.
hey, Guy.
Hello.
We went over
Okay.
the topic you wanted to go over.
I left.
Sorry, dude.
We talked about the contest and what's going to happen moving forward, the transition to Halloween and Christmas, and I talked about some of the stuff in your notes.
Wow,
But
just
I
ruined my entire thing for me. Why
well,
don't you?
well,
Yeah,
good news
I
for you.
figured.
I left a good number of things here. Uh,
So, what do we still have
one
to cover then?
1 through 5 is something we already talked about, and most of these were just kind of talked about by proxy. So I wanted to leave the important things like the requirements to you, or you could go over it again as a sort of refresher to the end here.
All
But
right, so can you fill me in on what the verdict is for the holiday collabs then?
so for the holiday collabs, it's right now up into a straw poll, and I will link you the straw poll again right here in the chat. And so we are deciding between what's happening this year, Halloween or Christmas, and whatever happens whatever happens this year in the vote is going to be the collab moving forward. So every even year will either be Christmas or Halloween, and then vice versa for the next for the odd years.
Okay.
And so the standard is going to be 2 collabs per year. So next year we're going to have 2 collabs, and whatever doesn't win the poll here will be there next year. And we will decide what the collab will be next year. The other
Okay,
thing go ahead.
so you mentioned that there was gonna be 2 collabs per year then.
Yep.
So apart from the holiday one, what is the other one going to be then? Just anything goes.
Either another take on the anniversary collab if we do not have any ideas, or we could do the previously Old Town Hall suggested idea of a Valentine's Day collab. However, I did talk about opening the door for the community to be able to pick up the pieces and host their own collabs, so we don't have to just stringently be locked to
Stop,
per year.
Chris. Go away.
But
Yeah, I mean, it's never been a rule that we decide what the collabs are going to be. People have been doing them for fucking years.
oh yeah, so just 2 per year is what you can expect from the Walfus station wagon, but the community should have an open free door to be able to host more collabs per year if they want to.
All right, cool. That's a good place to pick up from there then.
All right, go ahead, Gay.
All right, so I think Diz got most of the main issues at hand then. So you've all talked about like the anniversary collab, what went well, what didn't, and all that stuff.
Yeah, 10 years, man.
Yeah, so I assume, or so did you go through the whole or talking about the anniversary collab stuff, or
I did not. I left that to you because I'd heard that you would be joining at the time half an hour ago, so I left some of these things open. So yeah, two's all free.
all right? So yeah, we made 10 years, guys. Congratulations. There's a couple things I want to talk about with the anniversary collab though, and well, since it was such a special one, something I used to do back when I was in Boy Scouts was we used to have this thing called the Rose and the Thorns, which is like something we save for really special occasions, and it's kind of a fun way of saying what went well and what could have gotten better. So, and this was kind of a special project and one that was significantly longer than literally anything we've done before then. So,
Oh, yeah.
I just kind of want to get everyone's opinions on what you think was went well with this collab, what could have gone better with it for the future, and so and so.
What I didn't like about the collab, I'll start there so we can leave on a positive note. Um, I think the quality control could have been a little more tight for certain sketches, mainly because there was one at the Scarlet Devil Mansion gate that sort of drug on for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like you
admittedly.
mentioned, it was and like you mentioned, tried not to do list-based things, but that was the one exception I noticed, and there were a couple of good punchlines in there, and that's the biggest thing. Like, we don't want to disparage anybody with what is and it isn't good, because we usually go for what is acceptable most of the time. But I
Mm.
do think for an anniversary collab, I kind of wish some people put their best foot forward, but it is what it is. It's something we can learn from for the next big milestone year collab, I think, especially since we were kind of going off tradition for this one.
Hmm.
And so that's, I guess, my second gripe. Uh, Tradition is something we probably shouldn't stick to for every collab moving forward because, the running sketches and everything, while nice and totally viable. Like Ort said earlier before you joined, having a beginning and an end is pretty much all you really need to do. Having a big throughout can be really taxing on the collab host. And so we want to just have a focus on sketches moving forward. And as for the rest, I'd say the collab definitely had a lot of big successes to it. I'm still really, really surprised that, we got to dedicate it to someone so special as well. Because,
Hmm.
you know,
Thanks a
it's
lot,
nice.
Toast.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
really, really, Toast has been such a huge name in the community. And all the things they managed to pull off, getting to talk with Kirby M for Bucket and Envy, and of course, who the collab was dedicated to.
The dude spent
Rest,
like $100 on getting a cameo from Gilbert Gottfried. That is legendary.
yeah, rest in peace, my man.
Yeah.
Now, Japeth actually brings out a pretty interesting idea. I personally like the PC98 characters. In fact, I really want to see more of those. And actually, on top of that, I used Ariel's theme for the opening sequence for the anniversary collab.
Oh yeah,
But
this is something I need to bring up because this is something that I actually hosted back in the day. I hosted a PC98 specific contest for the community back on DeviantArt,
I remember
and
that.
it was
Yeah.
a- and it was a really fun collab. But one suggestion I got en masse was there should have been a video component to the collab. Now, since it was the first of its kind of a various and not sure footing, I didn't know how well a video part would do. So, honest to goodness, I would absolutely love to do a video component or just a video straight up contest sequel to the PC98 contest.
all right, yeah, we'll get to that in a sec here, but probably should get back on topic here. Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so I guess I'll put in my own 2 cents here. So yeah, I do agree with Diz. The mailing sketch kind of drug on a little bit, and I did see a pattern kind of flowing with people making like way longer than normal sketch times. And I kind of joke that it's like people are just throwing this joke out the window. And the guy flat out told me he didn't care about that rule. He wanted to make it long just because it was the anniversary one,
Which I
which
mean can
annoyed me a
can be
little
fun.
bit. But I mean, he wasn't breaking any rules on top of that, and I, I guess I wish he cut it down a little bit, or at least made it faster in transition. But I mean, I don't. There was really nothing that I could do about rejecting that.
And I mean, it's the anniversary, and they did fine. I don't mean to disparage. It's just
No,
an
you
individual.
you got a point though. There is a certain amount of pace you need to keep if you want to make the delivery work.
Oh yeah, because I noticed that the punchline for those types of sketches, at least, definitely it paid off to just get on with it, as Monty Python told us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as as for my other gripes, it's probably my own sketch, which uh, there was so much more I wanted to do, and I kind of copped out a lot on the animation, but honestly, that was completely my fault. I waited way too long to get the sketch done.
He told me he was busy playing Elden Ring.
You didn't have to say that, Diz.
Okay. No.
But he is right. I was desperate to beat the game. Never, I still have. Not the point. Anyway, yeah, I waited too long on making my own sketch, and I don't think I did it as well as I would have if I actually dedicated some more time on it. But it still worked. I mean, people still got into it, and it still paid off somewhat.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah,
no.
Go ahead, or sorry.
No, Jeff was just saying Elden Ring collab, and I was like, please no.
I don't think we can actually do that, or
It's gonna just spend the next 40 minutes of me dying. Anyways, as for what went well, 41 minutes was a hell of a shock for me, and seeing how many people came out of the woodwork to come in was a lot of fun to watch too. There is a lot of people I wish joined in, but it was nice to see more people that aren't usually in our collabs finally join in.
Yeah. And I even remember in the past we actually had an international audience pitch in that they wanted to help us in the future from
Mhm.
China, which was really cool. So it's like, if anything, this anniversary collab taught me, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us, that there's still an audience for Wolfus. Like, a big audience. More
Mhm.
than willing to contribute and have fun with the community all these years later. I saw not only a lot of people contribute, but I saw a lot of people come back just to comment.
What I was actually happier about was people, like, despite the death of Flash happening, people have been using different mediums to make Waffles happen too, such as Japeth, which is with his two sketches, especially the Rainbow vs. Rainbow sketch.
What
I
even
was really happy to
was
see
that?
more. I mean, it was cool. It was pretty brilliantly written, but at the same time, he used different mediums to make that happen too.
Yeah, and then you had, speaking of Rukato, Stubborn Virus's sketch, which was just a straight up battle animation, which was amazing to watch, using his own unique and distinct style.
Yeah, and I'll get to his in a second in a different note, but yeah, it was also nice to see other people submit sketches that weren't necessarily of a comedic genre too.
Hey, Yuta. Didn't realize you were gone.
And
Hello.
yeah, Stubborn Virus's sketch, I was thinking on that sketch like really hard when I was first thinking about accepting it because it's not that it wasn't funny, but it's more because the joke or the sketch didn't make any sense to me. But that's why I
Well,
had to ask Hort because I didn't know if that like series was known or anything like that. And once he confirmed that it was, then I let it go just as long as he got rid of his promotion part at the very beginning.
Well, even then, like, just having action was really cool.
Yeah,
And that's kind of why a multimedia collab, not just focused on comedy, would be very welcome in the future. Like, honest to goodness, depending on who wins the poll, Halloween or Christmas, can lead room for anything between more than just comedy, but say something wholesome or actually horror themed for, say, Halloween.
yeah. Like the Backrooms one from TNHO. That was awesome.
Hmm.
Or Homer Ukemi of Comic-Con. Their sketches are notoriously slow and could pick up the pace a little bit, but I actually like how they're written.
Yeah, I
The
like
bike
how they
riding bit was a nice change of pace from their usual, well, slow affairs.
Yeah, their list sketches. That's actually why I made that rule, not because I wanted to take a take a dab at Homura, but at the same time, the list sketches they drag on too long.
still a lot of people who are notorious for that sort of stuff did put a lot more effort into it, which was really cool. And that's
Sure.
why I think having an anniversary collab next year could be a good chance to show what we can do as a community just with the new format moving forward.
Yep. So yeah, Diz and I put our 2 cents in. So how about everyone else? What do you get? You can say it in video call. You can write it down, but I want everyone's opinions on what you think went well, what didn't.
It was certainly a good idea to open the floodgates like this.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
really cool. I think it's really cool to have a collab that just goes all in and be as open to as many people as possible who
Yeah.
definitely want to contribute.
I just want to say that like without like any like theme, it's like it allows for more creative freedom. Like
Oh
people
yeah,
do what they want.
which is really good. And that's, like I said in the last and this town hall, something we definitely need to consider moving forward, which is kind of why I mentioned that we're going to broaden the theme away from comedy for the next traditional collab for Christmas or Halloween. And like mentioned, not totally bound by it too. Like we could just do an autumn theme for the Halloween time or a winter theme like mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we want to make it a lot more open to interpretation. The theming of the theming of collabs and our contests moving forward.
Yeah, I
Also,
agree. Once you get, go ahead, Edward. Sorry.
I wanted to quickly say that for that as the one who will be running this year's Halloween, or well,
Or Christmas.
depends on which comes about. Uh, one thing I was debating on was calling it the Scarlet Devil Film Festival, and I feel that it would be appropriate for the Halloween theme because monster movies and whatnot.
I actually heard him like talk about his sketch well, like right after the anniversary watch party, and honestly, I think it's something that could definitely work as a bookend sketch.
Uh-huh. And if anything, you can hold on to those ideas and refine it if Christmas wins for this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be
So
funny because depending on what wins, Christmas could have even all years and Halloween could have odd all years. So really it depends on what people want. We could
yeah,
get unlucky numbers with Halloween though.
yeah. So how about everyone else? Anyone else got anything they want to add?
Let's
None
see
for me.
here. I'd say for what we can learn from this particular format is to move away from general traditions, like mentioned before, and focus on promoting the things that do go well so that people have a good point of reference to the kind of sketches that people should look to as a good example of what to learn from, what to get inspired by, things like that. Because we want to set a good framework, not only that, but we want to give people a good chance to learn off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things I noticed about the collab is that everybody seems to have their own style, but things could improve, especially if there was a little bit of unity between different members and everything. So people can still have their own style, but generally look to the community to see where to improve and what is generally really popular with the crowd.
Contests. What to do?
if somebody would like to host a contest of their own, if they have an idea for it, we can absolutely hook you up.
I had an idea about that now that you mention it, but it's so you guys remember Luca Hartman?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Luca had this thing. I believe it was Luca. She had this thing where she would give you like 5 random props, and you had to make something with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this idea sitting in my head when. Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up quick. uh, so let me just look through my pictures here. She gave me 5 random props, and I was like, "What the hell am I gonna do with all these?" And so let's see, what was it? Yeah, better meats, gummy dicks.
Ooh.
Yes, dicks.
What?
Hot sauce. What was it? Yeah, shot glasses.
That's not to mention that then.
Yeah, so
Eh,
I can't believe
Anyways,
there's a custom prop for that. I could have gone my whole life, Gee.
yeah,
Oh,
well,
there's
they're gummies,
likely
so don't
not
throw it.
a lot of stuff that's in private, but the thing is that it's in private.
Anyway, that's not the point. So the point was 5 random props, and you have to figure out what you're gonna do with that. And I never actually executed the idea because I just never got back to it. But I thought about making a video based on all that, like a House of Gags kind of sketch with a clown piece. But like I
Or
said, I
like
never actually did the idea.
or like scenes of the prop in Whose Line.
Yeah, just that's an idea though. Like you get a bunch of random props, you gotta make something like that, and then we'll judge like who executed the best using those props. You know what I mean?
A
Well,
good
that's a
a
money.
good yeah, a good example is basically think of it like a food contest where you get a random basket of ingredients you have to make something with. That's the
Shopped.
sort
Yep.
Yeah, that's the sort of idea that Guy's going for here. And
Yeah.
while we can do contests and collabs, challenges are a completely new avenue that we haven't really ventured into.
Sure enough.
And with the bi-weekly prompts that Ort does, those can kind of fall into those categories, I think. So Walfus challenges could be something we do in the future based on just expanding the bi-weekly prompt format. And since Ort's going to be hosting it, like mentioned
Actually,
before, I'll mention this again for the people here, but I will be taking that over. But go ahead, Ort.
I did. I wanted to briefly mention it, but you did it anyways. Yeah. Since I was usually the one running bi-weekly alphas. I'm also the only one who seems to make anything for him. But
Sorry.
since I'm going to be focusing on screening skits and whatnot, then Diz is gonna take over momentarily. Also, I did not consider having Wolfas bi-weekly Wolfas incorporate challenges.
Yeah, and we could probably do that as a substitute to the bi-weekly Walfus prompts in general. So, it's more than just bi-weekly prompts, and so those ideas and concepts don't get stale.
There. On top of that, I do have a suggestion if you want to hear it.
Hmm.
How about whoever wins or whoever does the best for the week actually gets to choose the next theme for the following prompts.
At the present, Ort wanted to plan out all the prompts for until he can take them back over.
Like I said,
So,
it was just a suggestion.
Frankly, that sounds better than flying by the seat of your pants like I've been doing. Also, hey Tom, don't think I don't notice
yeah,
you.
Evening.
hello.
I exist
Uh,
once more.
Wow.
How are things? We haven't talked in a long while, bud.
It's been years. It's been years.
Yeah.
I don't know really. My life over here has been kind of just out there really. I've been mostly
Yeah.
just spending my time playing games and vibe in my bed. Life hasn't been great, but I'm relaxing somehow.
Well, it's good to hear from you, man. We have a lot of people from the old days coming back now. It seems not
Well, I
just.
saw the ping. I saw the people like, I might as well jump on in and see what's going on here.
Mother of God.
Yeah,
Mother of God.
Tom Scott, yeah.
but yeah, we're
He's returned from the depths of hell. Yeah.
nice to hear from you. But yeah, to continue where we were, for the time being, yeah, I will host the bi-weekly prompts and try to get those out on time. I don't know how well I'll do since I haven't done them before, but that's indeed why we're planning things out for the themes then. But in lieu of your suggestion, Guy, we will definitely keep those themes hosted for what we need.
Oh,
And
something
go
there
ahead.
for next time. Yeah.
Would
So
you
unless
like?
anybody else has anything to say, we can move on here.
Yeah, I'd say now's a good time to move on. That's what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
All right. So now the next topic at hand is who's gonna be running the collabs and why am I running it and who's gonna eventually be the one to take over once I decide to call it quits. So as far as I know, the only ones to have ever run the actual station wing collabs have been Spaz, Siege, myself, Toast back in Halloween 2021, and Steve-O when he ran the Te Yanaba edition that has been posthumously destroyed by YouTube.
Yeah, copyright.
Anyways, there's a couple things I need to talk about regarding that. So Toast and I are the only non-admins to actually run these collabs, with myself being the only one to run multiple. I've had a couple people quit or think I was admins just because I was running it, but no, truth be told, I'm running it just because I asked and Siege didn't want to do it anymore, so he just let me have it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun doing it, and I hope to do it more in the next couple of years. But there's going to be a time eventually when I'm going to have to call it quits. So what happens then? And my mantra is I don't think the collab should die by one person, but they should live and die by the entire group.
Hmm.
Right.
That said,
Or maybe
if
the
the
community.
yeah, if the entire community wants the collabs to keep going, then someone's gonna have to take over for me. And who that is, don't know, and that's not really my job to decide that anyway. Actually, I would probably say it'd be the admins that should vote on if that's all right or not, but that's just me. Um, anyways, before and on top of that, I want to kind of touch on that a little bit, like what goes into running the collabs, and probably something for Ward to know what he's in for too. Um, really, anyone with a good reputation in the community, a penchant for keeping deadlines and quality control, a little bit of creativity, decent video editing software, and someone that wants to show everyone's work in a decent way can do it. Now, there's no like hard deadlines to run the collabs, or sorry, hard rules when it comes to running the collabs, mostly because not many people have done it in the first place. But I've kind of like said like what my responsibilities are when I do this, just so everyone has an idea about like what goes into it when I do it, as you can see in the text.
I mentioned to people earlier that a general good rule of thumb for the rule set is to look back on the announcement where you shared those rules.
Right, and generally that's what the rule set is. But but whoever's running the collabs gets full creative control over this entire thing, and that doesn't necessarily mean you have to follow these guidelines either. But that's what I follow, and that's seems to be the kind of common theme among who's done it.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's that too. But yeah, the director has full creative control when it comes to making the collabs, but they need to understand that their main goal is to compile all the sketches and to make it visually appealing to the entire audience. The idea is to, or the entire idea behind running these collabs is to make it so everyone else's video looks good, and you're just putting it all under one video.
Right.
Mhm.
And yeah, and ultimately that's what my goal is, because not because I want the glory or the fame of being the director, but because I get enjoyment out of putting everyone's work on display for y'all to see.
Yeah, and I want to continue to let the collabs happen as well, while I focus on getting phase 2 going for the group. As I had mentioned before, this is going to be a big focus now that the collabs passed.
Yep, and as Diz mentioned earlier, when we were talking about like what went well, what didn't, quality control definitely comes into play here, because as I've kind of made myself to be the reputation of the frat boy of the Waffle Station wagon, as well as the local goof. When it comes to quality control, I actually take my job very seriously, because I want to make the video, like, if it doesn't look good to me, then why would I expect it to look good to anybody else? You know what I mean? But
Very
I
understandable.
it's rare that I yeah, it's rare that I actually reject anything like straight outright, but I do have some criteria to follow myself when it comes to stuff like this. Um, stuff that doesn't fit the theme, stuff that just straight up doesn't make sense. And I've had a couple shit posts submitted to me, and they just kind of diminish the quality a little bit when they're just like there. You know what I mean? And sketches that obviously break rules, we can't have that. And self promotion or overly AAOC usage, that's still breaking the rules, because that's not Toho content.
Hmm.
Now, it's rare that I actually like straight up reject a video. More often than not, if the sketch doesn't look good, and I can still find something that can be fixed in it, then I'll suggest to the creator to fix it. Like whether it's grammatical errors, especially for people that don't speak English normally. Story writing, in case it needs to be written a little better, I can offer suggestions there. Audio balancing, Greco Craig, he's a good explanation for this. So you've seen a couple of videos of his in the collabs and in the most recent anime or anniversary collab. He's submitted a couple sketches, and I love how they're written. I love how they're done, but I had to ask him to rebalance the audio, because it was like really low in some parts and it was really high in some other ones. And unfortunately, once the audio is made like that, I can't do anything to fix it. The creator has to do it. And yeah, like we mentioned earlier, Homura's sketches, they're actually pretty well written for the most part, but if they're too slow in pace, then they just kind of drag on forever and everyone gets bored too fast. Yeah, that's just my guidelines for what I look for when it comes to accepting sketches, or asking them to be fixed or something like that. But no one actually has to follow these. There's no set rules as to what happens when it comes to accepting or rejecting.
Hmm. And I guess the better way to go forward with that is just kind of make these outlines more open in lieu of opening up the theming of each collab, so that there's a lot more creative theming. So
Mm-hmm.
I take a look at your announcement, and that's something I can definitely see. Like, if we're doing the Christmas collab, if that wins the poll this year, a good announcement video would be to make is it does not have to be Christmas themed. It can be any in general winter theme based thing regarding Toho or something like that. You know, just having good quality control even in your announcement.
Yep. And that said, definitely not a, I'm definitely pretty lenient when it comes to like straight up rejecting stuff. Accepting everything that comes your way is not a good idea, because if you just let quality control fall flat, then anything gets through, and that diminishes the overall quality.
Hopefully, that can all be caught under the basic guideline umbrella, because there are going to be video tutorials following that in phase 2, in addition to an updated written guide for comics and stuff like that. So we will have a mix of both for that. And hopefully, with that, as our basic guidelines do, we can catch pretty much all of that, and so people know when something is going to be rejected if they did not follow the basic guidelines.
Yeah, and I don't like rejecting sketches. Like, I want to see everyone's work on display, and I want to see everyone submit something to it. But there gets to be a point where if you let too much stuff pass through without checking it first, then the director also looks bad because it shows that they don't care.
Yeah, not only
Uh,
that, but there's a big reason why we have a similar frame rate and resolution for each of the sketches, because it's really hard to fit in editing wise unless it's the same res.
Yep. We're gonna say something, Art?
no.
No. So
Yeah, go ahead and move on when you're ready.
So yeah, that's everything I look for when it comes to quality control. But you're not. But whoever's running the director spot, and you especially, Word, you don't have to follow this. You can make your own guidelines as to whatever it is. That's not really anything I have any control over. Yeah. So moving on from there, There's a couple things I want to talk about regarding like sketch content itself. And this has been mentioned earlier, but there's certain stigma that needs to be talked about that needs to be cleared up as well. One of those that we mentioned was we've consistently had like comedic sketches come into the collabs. As this anniversary collab has shown, they don't all have to be funny to be good. Me, I personally like comedic sketches, and that's kind of my genre, but that doesn't mean everyone else has to do that either.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, let's. I'm just gonna throw this on there too. Yeah, the idea is to entertain everyone with your work and show what you can do, not necessarily to just make a giant comedy bit. And kind of goes with quality control too. Like, as much as I like comedic sketches, I like seeing everyone's work on display and seeing what they can do. Like stubborn viruses stuff, I never actually had a problem with that not being funny at all. It was just I didn't get it at first. But there's that. Homer's sketches actually were pretty wholesome for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else. Yeah, TNHO's backroom sketch that was more of a horror theme, but it still worked.
So yeah, it generally goes without saying that we're multimedia focused as a group, so we want our collabs to reflect that.
Yep. And as also mentioned, while we traditionally do runners during the collab, there's never been a hard rule about actually having runners in every collab, and not every collab we've done has had a runner either.
We did it for the anniversary because it was tradition and it was a good way to send us off into the future.
And I also had a sketch brewing in my head for like 3 months straight, so I decided to execute it finally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just exist because the entire collab running under a centralized sketch kind of just keeps that joke going, with everything else kind of acting as filler. But yeah, there's never been a hard rule about having runners either.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, whoever's running the director spot, you pretty much get the option of doing that. Someone else, and you don't have to do the runner yourself. You can if you want, but you literally have control over what goes in, what and how it's all oriented and all that. Fuck, even if somebody just like submits their own sketch that happens to be really long, you can just use that as a substitute for the runner, like I did with Deltas back in 2019.
Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, runners are awesome, and they tie the entire thing in together, but they're not required.
All right.
You know, oh yeah, the other thing I want to talk about, probably the last thing I want to talk about is what can we do to reach more people on the internet so we can encourage them to make more sketches and submit them to us.
So, like I mentioned before, a good way to get a branch out is what I was planning on doing and opening more basic guidelines for the community. And in addition to basic guidelines, tutorials were going to be a part of that, as I mentioned before, including the standardization of custom props, as people heard me mention before. But stuff like that isn't going to be the only thing that's going to be the keystone focus of the updated guidelines. Video tutorials that actually demonstrate how to do certain things are going to be tantamount. It's not going to be just props. It's not going to be just comics. It's also going to be videos. And really, for our promotional purposes, reaching out on multiple different websites will be a good start, but we're just going to kind of generally avoid certain social medias aside from video sharing platforms and what we have here in Discord. That's usually what we have, but a good thing we can do is reach out to other communities on Discord and see if we can't work back our affiliation system that we used to have on DeviantArt and just kind of see who all in the community we could reach.
Well, does anyone have any ideas as to what we can do? Because ultimately, what I personally want to see is people, or is us like finding a way to get Waffles creators like in very far corners of the community and get their work to us so we can show them, not because we want to get content, but because we want to showcase their stuff so we can also welcome into our community. You know what I mean?
I think there are a couple of things that can be done. One of them is going to be the good old fashioned going around, finding a creator on YouTube and just generally leaving a comment, either under the banner of our channel or something like that, so people are made aware of kind of our centralized community. But more importantly, with the transition to Pixiv and a more decentralized group where pretty much anyone can join or make content for us, that is going to be, I think, what we tend to use. In addition to just using our old platforms to promote what we are doing now, uh, we should absolutely think about being proactive and just generally reaching out to the cool parts of the community that exist. And of course, the issue is that there's a pretty big, surprisingly big international audience for Wolfus. I remember there was a whole Hispanic side of Wolfus on DeviantArt that was its own community back in the day, which was really cool to see. And it would be kind of cool to see if we could bridge the gap between that, but I understand that a lot of people want us to focus on our native language. And like Japheth mentioned, Billy would be weird to reach out on, but I do remember we had the Chinese part of the community reach out to us because they wanted to submit stuff for our collab too. So we generally have pretty good outreach so far, but as Guy says, we definitely need to broaden our scope
Yeah,
and
but
make
I mean,
Office more attractive to more people. Go ahead.
it's not all lost either because I've had people submit stuff from like France and Sweden and actually one guy from I think Taiwan it was. I had to
Yeet.
help. I had to help him with the English translation a little bit with his sketch, but I think yeah, I think he's from Taiwan. But the point is that we got people from all around the world that want to get in on this. We just need to find a way to reach out more. That's all.
Activity is one thing that can really benefit it.
True.
Yeah.
As well as saying is that it's already has a far scope that like there are some on the uh, Billy side as far as what I just heard, tiny from the Chinese side. Blah, my voice. um, and there's still like people who find Walfus by accident if they look deep into like some certain creations, if they have a peak interest of like, because I know some VTubers essentially have like the Walfus faces because they fucking have those. My bad.
Yeah, and speaking of, the creator of Wolfus is doing a lot of VTuber stuff now, so there's a lot of funny overlap going on there.
Yep. Sorry that I just jumped in there. I just want to say my part about that, as far as I'm aware.
No,
From
no,
one
it's
time to
fine.
another, I
You-
definitely appreciate that.
Hey, yep.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's just my 2 cents on all of that. But yeah, I guess we can just kind of look around, see who submits well for sketches and stuff like that, and see if we can get them to come in with us. But if they want to do their own thing, then that's their deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I guess it just having one place where anybody can get their name out there just seems kind of cool. That's all.
Yeah. A thought crossed my mind for the anniversary collab. Speaking of, I thought about some of the cool office videos that exist out there in the community, and I thought about it would be kind of cool if we could ask if we could feature some of their work on the channel for an anniversary collab in the future. Of course, the anniversary collab you were working on then already had a lot going for it, so I understand if reaching out like that would have taken too much time. But hey, it's something we can think about for the future. A Waffle showcase or highlight reel
Yeah.
for a chance to spotlight other creators on the channel with their permission, of course.
All right. I think the last thing I'm gonna leave off on is I don't know when I'm gonna call it quits myself when it comes to directing the collabs, but eventually someone's gonna have to take over for me. I'm not doing this year because of scheduling conflicts, at least assuming it's Halloween, because I'm gonna be on vacation the last week of Halloween. But Ort's taking over, and that's a start. Toast did it last year. He actually did pretty well. Those sketches themselves were could have been gone better. But whenever I finally decided to hang it up and stop doing the collabs myself, it's just something to think about that somebody's gonna have to take over. Maybe not every year, but someone's. It's probably something to just think about that. If this collab or these collabs are gonna keep going, then somebody's gonna have to step up.
Yeah, and that's fine. I think, honest to goodness, you know, it doesn't have to be Spaz or another admin like in the past. Like mentioned, we want to open the door to let just anybody come in and do their thing.
Yeah,
Just like
and
with contest in the past, we had a lot more broad range of hosts for contest back in the day for our community on the DeviantArt side of things. And in addition to bringing that kind of diversity in contest for host back, we want to give that same treatment to the collab side of things.
yeah, and as for people that want to do their own collabs or anything like that, I mean, post it, see if people are interested.
Hmm.
Might not be on a station wagon banner, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can't do it. And I'm sure people will love to join in to help you. Like I want to do a character edition for a while, but I've just never had the time to actually follow up on it.
I also remember back in the day where you had a lot of fan fiction writing stuff as well going around. Just a lot of a lot of writing stuff essentially. That was
Yeah,
an
we
active
had,
part of the community.
yeah, and that all spawned from the fanfic riffs that Spaz and Stevo used to do together,
Yep.
and that kind of spawned its own fanfiction side of the community as well.
Yep.
So yeah, in addition to just kind of bringing a good standard to all things, I'm really excited about the topics we had so far. Sorry if theming of the timestamps has gotten a little bit weird for this video, or since we kind of been all over the place with this part, but it's a good recap since this is
Oh,
a little
yeah.
on the shorter side of a town hall.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna need your help actually putting, determining which timestamp should be put where.
I understand, and if you need to do a write up for or a summarization for those specific timestamps, that is perfectly fine. I can
Right.
write
It should,
those up for you.
I
Take
don't know if
or-
we would need to. I would just put a a short descriptive phrase next to the timestamp and just let it speak for itself.
That's fine. That's fine.
Short descriptive banana blurb.
But yeah, as a sort of recap to everything we've talked about, collabs are going to not be hosted by Guy for the foreseeable year because of scheduling, and we have decided congruently we are going to choose between Christmas or Halloween this year, so we do not let our community suffer burnout. So go to the straw poll and vote on which one you would like to see this year. And based on what's winning this year will be the one going forward for the even and odd number of years. So if Christmas wins, it's going to be even every year. And if Halloween wins, there you go. So basically, you get to decide if Christmas is going to be even or odd.
Christmas or Halloween time, spookums.
So yeah, go ahead and vote on what you would like. And for the other topic, Phase 2 is going to be worked on more properly now that the anniversary collab is done. And Phase 2 will entitle New Basic Guidelines to go with our updated rules. And we will do things like bringing back the featured channel from DeviantArt and adding that to the top of our picks of content so the community can again vote on what they think is really cool so it can get featured in a dedicated channel. And for the last recap, let's see, what was the third? Yeah. Bi-weekly prompts are not going to be hosted by Ort because of the upcoming collab, so he's going to be focusing his attention on that. So I will be taking over the bi-weekly prompts with a series of laid out pre-planned themes for what we're going to do for the bi-weekly prompts going forward. Aside from that, that pretty much covers everything, I do believe. I may have missed one topic or two, but it might have been really short. But yeah.
Everything on my end, anyway, has been covered.
Yeah, I suppose that will do it for the town hall.
What about the dinner plans?
Oh yeah, does anyone have any announcements or projects they want to announce?
Well,
Um,
we could always save that for something dedicated, but yeah, I don't think we have to say no to it here. It would be nice
Nick
to
wants to announce something.
round it out.
Or STK, yeah.
Sick. I love that.
I just read their name and I was like, what's the easiest way to pronounce this thing without sounding rude?
Thank
No,
you,
I get where you're coming from. It kind of looks like that from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
STK. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I just like,
I think a lot of us are trying to get the Waffus groove back. I mean, the community took a really hard hit from the loss of Flash and the loss of Kirby M, everything like that.
I'd say go ahead, STK, real quick. Sorry, Diz.
Yeah, it's okay.
You did say if anyone wants to announce their projects, so go ahead.
If you can do it in voice, you can. You can also type it out if you need to.
Yeah. Well, they're typing. Go ahead. You have the floor.
someone needs to change the thing.
Wait, do they not have voice permissions?
Oh, I think they're on push to talk or something. Or
Let's see.
It says they're muted though.
or
Did,
they're
did you
muted.
forget to unmute yourself?
Oh,
There you go.
Oh my god.
I muted him server side.
Wait.
Bro.
I see.
Wow.
Wait a minute. Did you?
Well, yeah.
Uh,
It was because of the last town hall.
There we go.
Oh. Anyways, I see you have the floor. You can talk now. A voice.
Well-
You can- Oh.
We'll let him get his things together. If we don't want to drag this on, I do have something I wanted to say.
Okay. Can anybody
Okay,
hear
there
me
we
now?
go.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yep.
Anyways, apologies about the last town hall meeting. I mean, if I were more serious, then I could have like discussed in this town hall as
Just
well.
go ahead. Just go ahead with your announcement. It's all right.
Yes, my announcement. So, anyways, TownHaul Hotels episode 11. I'm still gonna be doing that after I finish my very belated birthday animation I'm working on.
Needed. Okay.
And then also I have another like a Stick production animated series that is more heavily focused on like it's not only just Toho characters and stuff, unlike Toho Hotels, but it also has like more characters from other series I like. I have Bang Dream Girls Band Party, Ruby, and I what else? Oh yeah, Genshin Impact, and then there's a lot more. And then of course I also have my MMO Heroes project that I've been happy to announce during my announcement on January 1st in 2022 when I posted it on my YouTube channel. And then there's also Toho Hotel's Crazy Version number 3, which or alternately called Toho Hotel's Crazy Version number 3 and Knuckles, which actually can make the third original episode of Toho Hotel with crazy edits, hence the crazy version of the name.
Mm-hmm.
And you may have the floor, Japheth. Or Japheth. Frick. I'll just say Japheth.
You got it right. You got it right the first time.
Thank you. Anyways, take it away.
All right. Do you need someone to read it out?
I'm currently not on my desk right now, so I can't read it right now.
It's okay. It's
Do you want
okay.
me to?
No, I can read it out.
Okay.
This lion's making coffee.
I'll handle this invite stuff. Don't mind
All right.
me.
Thank you. Would you like someone to read it out, Japheth? Oh, okay.
Weird idea. What if you have a continue the story kind of deal? One guy makes a panel, the next decides how the story will move forward.
Yeah.
I
they will
feel I've
speak,
heard something like that before, in general.
Yeah, we did something like that in the past, actually.
Sorry, no one else is speaking, so I figured I may as well. It's
So it's like the comic version of a foreign game. Essentially, yeah. So it was basically the collabs. The two I can think of off the top of my head was a sort of one was a meme where you could just basically add your own panel to a long cat, which was kind of the first iteration done by a guy called Do Duo back in the day. But the other was a more proper form, which was based on an old meme where basically people would take screenshots and overlay it, and it would just continue almost endlessly. But a tennis, as it was known, was the idea of you having two people get together and bounce ideas back off each other. So one person would make one part and then the other person would make another. We used to call those tennises because, yeah. they would go back and forth between each other.
Yeah, I remember seeing MMD tennises between Harpoon Need and I forgot what the other guy is. Master of Helium. They were doing a tennis together when or for Yoshika escaping Sega,
Yeah.
and they both just like put their own spin on what the story was, and they just kept bouncing off each other until they eventually decided to just finish it.
Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, there's also a lot of collabs that do exist out there today, like the reanimation collabs, if you've seen those on YouTube. Those are a pretty cool example of people bouncing off workloads from one person to the other in their own unique style.
Well, I would certainly be open to doing one with somebody.
I think those would be good things to do for a contest. And if you wanted to do a continue the story sort of contest in the future, I think that would be pretty cool too. Because, having a partner to bounce ideas off of is a great way to learn and grow not only your skills as a officer, but as a general writer.
Yeah, actually, that'd be something I would love to do in the future, like host a contest for two people to partner up and then do tennises for each other.
Yeah. And like Nana, she said, it'd be like a game of telephone, but just with content creation.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and like Hika said, it's a thing we used to do, and a lot of people miss it.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that YouTube link here.
What was going on?
I believe Guy was looking for something.
Ignore me. I'm just looking for a video.
Oh, okay.
Ignore me.
Ignore me.
Ignore me.
Oh, you guys don't do it anyway.
Did someone lose a baby? Someone has lost a baby out here. Ignore me. God.
Why have a babies?
I did have an idea for a thing. I remember when I used to do a thing of throwing tables to another and then they just pass on to another person. That was a fun thing to do.
The
Our
old
old
table flip.
Yeah.
our old traditional table flip
Get
The
our
cha-
initiation.
the
Tales
table
have
flip
died.
chain
Have
link. That's
died.
what I was doing a while back with a few of the wall those back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Where I started ball of just throwing tables at people. Well, no, not that. That wasn't my idea. It was like we had the idea of throwing tables at other people, and then I was like, huh, maybe we should make it a thing, just like for a little joke that keeps on going and see how long until we
Yeah,
drop the
that
ball.
big tradition with the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, our old
unfortunately kind
tradition
of died away, though.
our
We
old
can bring it
tradition.
back.
For those of you at home who do not know what the heck any of us are talking about, our old initiation for joining the group back in the day was to make a comic saying hello to this person's avatar and subsequently flipping the table we're sitting at them.
It was a great time.
Yes, it was, and it was something that left a big impression. I believe that was started by one of our founders, Kitty. I
Yep.
forget the
That
numbers,
I think it was
but
one of them, or it was someone who came in and
kind
then
of
introduced table flips
named
to being a.
K or something
I
like
don't
that.
think it was
I
Beats though.
vaguely remember
yeah, with
what they looked
It's
like,
either
but not their name.
Beats or Steve or you.
God knows. God only knows. It's been like 6 8 years since I've done waffle stuff.
y'all remember those Waffles post days on Toho Life Generators? Oh my gosh,
Oh
yeah, I
God.
remember that.
Oh, yeah, here's
What in
the set of videos I was looking for.
What in the?
Mhm.
What the heck is this?
So
Oh,
this was a Toho MMD tennis that bounced back between Master of Helium and Harpoonet, and they did a series of them. So yeah, they continued after each other's story. So this is sort of what idea Japheth was talking about, bringing back an old concept for our use. I'm thinking if we're not going to do a contest based on it, we could do a challenge based on it.
Yeah, I would totally be willing to partner up with somebody to do this.
As a substitute for a bi-weekly prompt, that's something we could do in the future.
Gry, imagine what we can do, dude.
Oh no.
I remember
That's gonna end in disaster.
on the subject of tennises, I remember I also did like a tennis thing with Nightmare Ferret. I'm not sure if they still do content around here or still are in the wagon. But we used to, I was before I was like completely swamped with life stuff dealing with it. I was doing a series called the Dimensions of the Multiverses or something. It was supposed to be like a table tennis of comics going from the Nightmare Ferret's view to my universe's view and just splitting between those two.
I believe there was somebody that actually tried to do that back in the day. He was in the Anniversary Go collab. He was called Unknown Nobody.
Yep,
Yeah.
good
He
friend.
was trying to do a centralized series where everybody in our group was part of the Toho universe. It was not too dissimilar
go-
from back in the day.
It didn't go very far.
Wolf's Club. It didn't, but it was sort of similar to the idea of the Crossroads back in the day, a series done by Alice. Yeah, Alice. And it's like
Good coffee.
his was more of a toned down version of that based on his own interpretation. And it'd be something pretty cool to think about for a big project in the future. But of course, if something like that's going to be pulled off, it's definitely going to need a lot of coordination.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I'll say what I was going to say. I think we'll end the town hall here.
All right. Well, thanks for setting this up, Diz. I know it was kind of odd for non-admin to ask for it, but there was a lot that needed to be talked about.
Well, no, it's fine. Honestly, the town halls being started by members, like you wanted us to hear, is a really good thing. And I think if people want a town hall for an issue that's really needing to be talked about in the future, we want that to happen too. Something I definitely tried to do in the past. Admin oversight is always going to be here for things like this, but yeah, this was our technically first member hosted town hall.
Yeah, I'm special.
Special Snoofy.
Let's go.
But yeah, that should do it.
Oh no.
Special.
Do you want to end us off, Ort?
Uh, yeah. Anyways, I hope you learned something. I hope everyone learned something. And I hope crap. It's been so long, you know. Here's
It
in
really
another
has.
10 years, in essence.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for all the good times we've had on the channel, on the Waffus Station Wagon channel, and just in general in the Waffus community. It's been crazy that we've survived after 10 years, after pretty much a near-death experience in our own community because of the stagnation going on. But hey, with the town hall here, we managed to bring even more people from the past back, and we're looking forward to making good standards and future-proofing the server. Even if it's not going to be at its peak, the Wolfus Station Wagon, as it once was, it definitely needs to have a place because, as the anniversary taught us, and as I said before, Wolfus definitely still has a place for a lot of people. And a lot of folks out there definitely want to get into it. So we want to leave the door open and let this community be a stepping stone community for anyone to learn off Office and continue on to bigger and better things. Heck, I've seen a couple people in here. that have gone on to make some really amazing stuff just beyond Wolfus. So hopefully we can facilitate that. Maybe not by the next town hall, but definitely in the future. See you guys later.
See you.
Banana
See
time.
you. See you next town hall. Bye
Yep.
bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Have a